Lower courts are expected to follow the rulings of higher courts. That's the rule of law. But what happens when a legal principle meets political pressure, and the decision before the court carries international consequences? Tonight on Planet Plus, we take a closer look at the extradition case involving Azraddin Muhammad and Nizar Muhammad, and the growing scrutiny surrounding the magistrate tasked with deciding their fate. This isn't just about extradition. It's about judicial independence, due process, and whether subtle influence has a place in a system built on fairness. Stay with us, because what happens next could set a lasting precedent in Guyana. Lower courts are required to treat the rulings and decisions of higher courts as binding. That principle is at the heart of today's discussion. Hey everyone, welcome back to Planet Plus. Before we get started, quick note for our viewers. As of yesterday, only subscribers can comment on our video, so don't be shy. Hit that subscribe button and join the conversation. Now, let's talk about what's happening behind the scenes in the extradition case involving Azraddin Muhammad and his father, Nizar Muhammad. Pressure is clearly building around the magistrate presiding over this case, pressure to rule in favor of extraditing the two men to the United States, where they would face charges in a federal court in Florida. The magistrate in question is Judy Latchman. To be clear, no one has publicly come out and directly ordered Magistrate Latchman to commit the Muhammads for extradition. That would amount to outright judicial interference, especially if it came from the executive arm of government, the same arm actively facilitating the men's transfer to the United States. But influence doesn't always arrive in the form of direct instruction. Sometimes, it comes through subtle signals, carefully chosen words, implications, hints that suggest what the correct outcome should be. So why are we saying that the magistrate appears to be under pressure? It stems from recent statements made by Guyana's Attorney General, Anil Nandalao, while he was updating the nation on the status of the Muhammad's extradition proceedings. In a moment, you'll hear directly from the Attorney General himself. After that, I'll offer some commentary and pose a few questions I'd really like you to weigh in on in the comments. So stick around and let your voice be heard. According to Attorney General Nandalao, the magistrate effectively has two options in this case. 1. Grant the extradition request and commit the men to be sent to the United States. Or 2. Deny the state's application. Here's what the Attorney General had to say. The magistrate can uphold their submissions and refer the questions to the High Court for determination. Or the magistrate can dismiss their application and rule, as she is empowered to do under the Constitution, that the questions raised are frivolous and vexatious. In that case, the magistrate is required to proceed with the committal hearing. To make a committal order for extradition, all the magistrate is required to do is determine whether there is sufficient evidence and then make the order, or refuse to make the order. Now pause right there. Am I the only one who noticed how close that sounded to suggesting that the magistrate is entitled, or perhaps expected, to rule in favor of the government? Especially when phrases like frivolous and vexatious are used. For clarity, those words essentially mean that the arguments raised by the defense are being portrayed as a waste of the court's time, claims that are petty, unfounded, or already settled by previous rulings. Quick show of hand. Wouldn't it help if legal explanations were delivered in plain, everyday language so more citizens could actually understand what's at stake? Now, let's put this into proper context. If Magistrate Latchman believes that the arguments raised by the Muhammad's attorneys are legally sound, and that ordering extradition could result in injustice, she has the authority to refer the matter to the High Court. That would allow a judge to hear and determine those constitutional and legal questions in greater depth. Here's where things get interesting. The Attorney General also stated that the magistrate is bound by law to follow the decisions of previous extradition cases. According to him, issues similar to those being raised now, questions about constitutionality and legality, have already been settled by higher courts. Let's hear him again. We have rulings from higher courts, and those rulings are binding on the magistrate. We operate under what is called the doctrine of precedent. Within that doctrine is the principle of stare decisis, which states that the decisions of higher courts are binding on lower courts. A magistrate, being a lower court, cannot depart from clear and conclusive determinations made by superior courts, particularly our Court of Appeal, which at the time was Guyana's highest court before the CCJ. In simple terms, the Attorney General is saying that because higher courts have already ruled on similar matters, the magistrate has a legal duty to follow those decisions. Those past rulings become precedents that guide how future cases should be decided. Fair enough. But here are the questions that naturally arise. Should a magistrate follow past decisions simply out of obligation, or should she focus on what is just and fair for the defendants in the specific case before her? Is it an either-or situation, or does it depend on the facts? Has the Attorney General considered that every case turns on its own unique circumstances? And that there are times when courts legitimately depart from precedent because the facts demand a different outcome? When you put all of this together, it can feel as though a subtle message is being sent, one that nudges the magistrate toward a particular decision. Some observers may even interpret certain statements as bordering on judicial interference, something that could threaten the Muhammad's constitutional right to a free and fair hearing. Judges and magistrates are expected to operate independently, without influence or pressure. And many believe that Magistrate Latchman is fully capable of delivering a ruling that is not only lawful, but fair. One that reflects the specific facts and legal issues in this extradition case. Before we wrap up, there's one more critical point raised by the Attorney General. He made it clear that, ultimately, the final authority does not rest with the court. The power to certify and finalize the extradition of Azraddin Muhammad and Nizar Muhammad lies solely with the Minister of Home Affairs, whoever occupies that office at the relevant time. Here's a quick trivia question for you. How many of you actually knew that? So yes, while the court plays a central role, it does not have the final say. This case continues to raise serious questions about law, power, and due process. This case is far from settled. At stake is more than whether two men are extradited. What's being tested is the strength of judicial independence, the limits of precedent, and the public's confidence in the fairness of the courts. Should magistrates simply follow past rulings, or must every case be judged on its own facts? That's the question. Let us know where you stand in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so your voice is heard. This is Planet Plus, where law, power, and accountability collide.